Give you a bit of an overview as to what the Minister and I have done today, and then I will pass to Warwick, and following that we will open it up for questions. The Minister and I arrived back from Australia in the early hours of this morning, where we both attended the funerals of the lost Victoria police officers. When I got the phone call at 1:47 a.m. Melbourne time yesterday morning, from that point on, our focus has been on the events here in New Zealand, and in particular the work of my staff in dealing with the tragedy yesterday morning. Can I acknowledge the incredible work of my police colleagues and how proud I am of the work that they do day and night across the country, but in particular dealing with a very volatile situation. I also acknowledge the loss of Mr. Phillips in that event yesterday morning. When the Minister and I arrived back to New Zealand this morning, our priority was to travel here to the Waikato and to meet with the injured police officer. We have just returned from the hospital. We also took time to meet with the family of our colleague who are here with him supporting his recovery. The Minister and I have also taken time to meet with the investigation team. That includes not only those that are dealing with the critical incident that occurred yesterday morning, but also those that have been involved in this investigation for over 4 years. Can I say how proud I am of all the police staff who have worked tirelessly over 4 years on this investigation. We are very, very fortunate that we are not dealing with the loss of a New Zealand police officer. Can I comment too also on the pride and courage of not only that police officer but his colleagues who were there with him dealing with the situation that unfolded yesterday morning. For 4 years we have known that Mr. Phillips has been armed, he's been dangerous, and he has been motivated. We have taken time over that 4 years to consider how best to deal with the situation. We were confident that irrespective of how hard we tried to bring it to a peaceful conclusion, that with a motivated person, that was always going to be a challenge. And that has informed the way that we have dealt with this matter over the 4 years, and including the way that we dealt with the recovery of children late yesterday. When our colleague was shot yesterday, we had the police Eagle helicopter down here from Auckland, and can I acknowledge their work supporting the incident. The helicopter landed and the crew on board that, which included 2 of my police officers, provided first aid to the shot police officer. Likewise, the other police staff that had come from across the Waikato district that were there in support of that officer, and I honestly believe that he is still with us today because of the work that they did after he'd been shot. We were able to get the support of one of the children yesterday morning to better understand where other children may be located. That information allowed us to then locate the remaining children about 2 kilometres away in dense bush. And there are some photos here that you are welcome to take pictures of to help demonstrate the challenging environment in which we were operating. We were also advised that we were likely to find firearms at the campsite, and we did. So our approach throughout yesterday, until such time as we recovered the remaining children safe and well, was cautious, and that was necessary. We must not forget that these children have been living in the bush for 4 years. They are schooled in that environment, and we need to approach the scene very, very cautiously to ensure that nobody was harmed as we worked very, very hard to recover them safely. Warwick will talk soon to the care and protection that has been wrapped around those children. I thank my staff who have worked tirelessly for 4 years on this investigation. We've got a lot of work to do from this point on, but for over 4 years they've put their heart and soul into trying to find Mr. Phillips and the children. You've got to remember that as police officers we wear uniforms, but behind this uniform there are also human beings, mums and dads, sons and daughters. And it's not easy when you are so determined to ensure that these children are safe and well. When we face so many other challenges and a motivated offender, it's a challenge to bring this to a conclusion. The staff that we have met with this morning, whilst very pleased that we now have the children safe and well, the emotion that the Minister and I have seen this morning is very clear. We always knew this was going to be a challenge, but I thank the staff that have worked on this investigation for such a long time. From this point on, we have obviously a police investigation into the circumstances of the incident yesterday morning. We have another investigation that will help put the puzzle together that tells us more about the last 4 years, and in particular anybody who may have been helping Mr. Phillips, and we will deal with them accordingly. We also have an IPCA investigation, which is entirely normal in this situation. That is all from me, and I'll open it up to questions shortly. But in closing, can I also acknowledge Acting Deputy Commissioner Jill Rogers. Whilst the Minister and I were in Australia representing our country and our organisation, New Zealand Police, at the funerals of 2 fallen Victoria officers, we were very conscious of the work that was happening back here in New Zealand. I acknowledge Acting Deputy Commissioner Rogers for her outstanding leadership yesterday in providing as much information as we were able to in the challenging events of yesterday. I now invite Minister Mark Mitchell to offer any further comment.
Okay. Well, thanks very much everyone for being here with us. It's obviously been a very tough 24 hours for the entire country. There's been a high degree of public interest in this case. There's been a high degree of concern for the children, and unfortunately it came to its conclusion yesterday with the father attempting to kill one of our police officers, who we have just visited in the hospital, and I'm pleased to say was able to talk with us and certainly gave myself and the Commissioner a sense that although he's got a tough pathway to recovery, there is a pathway to recovery, and we are very thankful that we still have him with us. We spent time with his wife and his family, his father, his mother, sister and brother-in-law, and you can all only imagine how they're feeling at this time. Extremely proud of him, extremely proud of the police officers that took action yesterday. Everyone can see, I hope, the country can see that the situation that the police were presented with in trying to deal with the situation, and to try and conclude it without the loss of life, and in particular those children. You had a father, Mr. Phillips, who in my view had no regard for the safety of those children. He seemed to be solely motivated in terms of what he wanted to do and how things were impacting him. When he's a suspect of having taken his children into violent and dangerous offending on several occasions prior to him being dealt with or found and detected, and then the police being reported in the last 48 hours. He has quite literally put his children in harm's way. And the police, certainly since I've been police minister, have been very clear with me that everything that they do and the approach that they've taken is quite simply put those children's safety at the forefront of the decisions that were made. And their concerns were they were going to be presented with a situation where we had a tragedy and we lost those kids. And I think everyone can see with what unfolded that that was a genuine and a real concern. So I want to acknowledge the police, I want to acknowledge the leadership here, the police leadership here, Acting Deputy Commissioner Jill Rogers, the Commissioner, who was very clear, although we were in Melbourne, that it was important to get information out to the public quickly, because, like I said, there was a very high level of public interest in this and public concern, and of course the communities that are impacted and affected, it was only fair that they were kept informed and they understood what was going on. As you'd understand, it's a highly sensitive matter, and there'll be more information that will come, but not all of it. We can't speak to all of it right now. So I'd like to acknowledge the fact that there's been a big human cost to this, whether it be the fact that we've had one of our officers up at the Waikato hospital having to undergo surgeries for critical injuries, his family, whether it be our police officers who, like the Commissioner said, have been working on this for 4 years, and you could see the emotion in them because they are human, they are heavily invested in this, and of course the huge relief that, although we've had a tragedy in the loss of Mr. Phillips, the huge relief that those children are back now safe in Auranga Tamariki care and extended family. I want to acknowledge the OC of the police case, the investigations, all those teams, the entire police family who, in my view, have quite simply been outstanding and have been on display for us again as a country to show that we are served by a world-class police service that is fully dedicated to making sure they keep the communities that they serve safe. I want to acknowledge the Phillips family. I know that they have been through a lot as well, and they'll be going through a lot right now. And like I said, there's been no winners in this. It has been an extremely difficult situation, but has been brought to a conclusion now. Those children are back in safe care. They've obviously got a long road ahead of them in terms of recovery, but they're able to start that road. They're able to start that journey now, and with that, I think it's appropriate to hand over to Warwick Morohu.
Tēnā tātou, thank you, Commissioner, Minister. I'm Warwick Morohu, Regional Commissioner, Oranga Tamariki, Waikato, Bay of Plenty. Firstly, I would like also to offer our condolences to the Phillips whānau and their loss, and acknowledge the brave deeds of our police in those early hours. Essentially, especially thinking of the injured police officer at this time and his whānau, wishing him a speedy recovery to good health. Through his efforts, he has enabled the safe return of these tamariki. I want to say I am constrained in the amount of information I can share. The Family Court are actively managing this case, and we will comply with the directions they give us. I want to assure the community here in Waikato and also the wider public of New Zealand that my team in this region have been planning and preparing for the return of these tamariki from when they went missing. I can confirm that the children are settled and were settled last night. They are doing well under the circumstances and engaging with the staff supporting them. Going forward, I have an experienced and dedicated team of staff assigned to this. They are prepped and ready to respond to whatever needs these tamariki might have. We are joined up with our partner agencies across the children's system to respond to those needs. We have clinical professionals who put their hands up to assist if required. I want to assure you all that these tamariki will be provided with whatever help or assistance they may need, for however long they may need it. Now, I understand that there is huge public interest in these tamariki and their well-being. But all I can ask is that we please give them some privacy. These are young tamariki. This has been unprecedented, these circumstances. Everyone is doing their very best to ensure we can return them to some form of normal daily life. We don't know exactly what that looks like yet and how long that may take. We will be guided by these tamariki and what they need. We would ask that you please keep that in mind as we move forward. Kia ora and thank you.
Thank you. We will take some questions in a moment. If I can just add a little bit more detail. As the Minister has said, and I've said, we had the privilege of meeting with our injured officer this morning and his family. It'll be a long road to recovery. He's a very well respected, capable and enthusiastic police officer. The New Zealand Police will wrap around the support that he needs and his family needs to ensure that he returns to being the police officer that he wants to be. But what the Minister and I saw this morning was very confronting, and he has a long way to go before he gets that opportunity again. Secondly and finally, before we open up for questions, I want to acknowledge the hard work of many police officers from around New Zealand who have been involved in this investigation over the 4 years. I've had the opportunity this year, since being Commissioner, to meet with the investigation team a number of times. I've also had the opportunity to go and visit them deep in the bush, late at night, when they're doing their work. This has been going on continuously for 4 years. And I'm very, very proud of the work that they have done. It's taken us a while, but yesterday's events demonstrate why it needed to take a while, and that our risk assessment way back in the beginning, in terms of the potential threat and danger, not only to young children but also to my police staff, the decisions that we've made along the way were the right ones. Thank you. Questions?
Was the police officer able to talk to you, and is there anything you can share that he said?
He was able to speak to us a little bit. His eyes are not open. You'll appreciate that yesterday he spent a good deal of the day in surgery. As I said, it's very confronting, but he knows we're there. He was able to share a couple of laughs, and that's good, but it's pretty hard.
What are you able to tell us about his level of experience and where his base station was, how long he's been working in the area?
Yeah.
Is there any other detail?
He is a rural police officer here in the Waikato district. He has been in New Zealand Police for approximately 3 years. What I have learnt about him today says to me he's a very highly respected police officer in the community, very enthusiastic, very driven, the sort of police officer that all of New Zealand wants.
And we've talked about it being quite common that rural officers do work alone like this, but how did it end up that these spikes were made and he was the only one that was first there on the scene? Was there not some anticipation that there would be a potential threat?
Yes, no, look, when we got the call from the public, and I do want to acknowledge the public's support to police and the work that we do, but particularly yesterday morning when we received information that suggested we may be dealing with Mr. Phillips, support came in from across the Waikato district. And as I've said, including the police helicopter from Auckland, because of the potential threat that was involved. So when spikes were laid, and the police officer was there, his colleagues were right there too. So whilst he may have been in his own vehicle as a single crew, his colleagues were right alongside him.
So how many seconds would it have been then?
Exactly seconds I can't comment, but
Was it seconds then?
Absolutely it was seconds, because the threat that Mr. Phillips presented, multiple shots, you've seen the photos of bullet holes in the police vehicle. I've seen the photos of that scene. It is traumatic. He was a very motivated offender. He had a very high-powered rifle. As you've heard the Minister say, and there is absolutely no doubt, his intent was to kill the police officer. My other colleagues who were right there on the spot were able to deal with that. We're trained to deal with these situations. My police staff did everything that I would expect them to do, and they did it incredibly well. And I'm very proud of the work that they've done.
How close of a range was he shot at?
It was close range. it was close range. I won't go into details, but the distance between where Mr. Phillips stood and my police officer who has been injured was close range. And with a high-powered rifle, you can appreciate the damage that can do.
And the other officers that attended, were they from specialist squads, and what sort of equipment did they use in encountering Mr. Phillips?
I'm not going to disclose what unit they were part of, but they had the necessary equipment available to them. They deployed that in the way I would expect them to. I know it's early, but I am very confident that their decision making is exactly what I would expect it to be, and that the New Zealand public would expect it to be in a situation where such a threat is presented like that. So they're trained to deal with these situations. They went forward and dealt with it without thinking. There was no time to lose. They did what they needed to do. They thought about it and they did the right thing.
Commissioner, on the scene when you did find the other two Phillips children, were there anyone else on the scene as well?
I'm not going to comment on any further details on that at the moment.
How many shots in total were fired during the incident?
We are still putting that sort of detail together, the puzzle. But I mean, I have personally observed 4 bullet holes in the front of the police vehicle.
And how long in total was the confrontation?
That level of detail we are still putting together as well.
Who was Tom Phillips shot?
I'm not going to comment on that.
Can I ask a question about suppression orders that were granted last night in the High Court? Are we allowed to know, in regards to Thomas Phillips' family, the lawyer acting for them, will the police oppose those?
That's not for me to comment on at this point in time, no, sorry.
Can you tell us about the campsite? What's there? What did you find when you got there, and how many guns were there? You said there were more than one.
Yes, the scene examination continues now, but we were advised that we were likely to find at least one firearm there and ammunition, and we did. The scene examination continues. There's got some photos here. Whilst what you see in dense bush might suggest they've been there for some time, what we know that is over the last 4 years, Mr. Phillips and his children have been very mobile and they have moved frequently. That has been a real challenge for us to deal with. That scene examination continues. At this stage, I am aware of the one firearm, but there may be more as we continue with that investigation.
We've been told
what else is there at the campsite, just to explain what we can see?
Well, I mean, what you see here is what I've seen so far. I have not been there personally myself. The area remains cordoned and we will continue to examine.
Would dry, in rain and things like that? Was it quite well covered, etc.?
Well, that sort of detail I'm not aware of, but I would suggest that having lived in the bush for 4 years, you would be doing what you can, particularly during the wet and winter months, to have cover.
We've been told this is a remote campsite, so what would it take to get here on land? How difficult would that be?
Well, as I've said, the campsite was about 2 kilometres from where the incident unfolded yesterday morning, but into deep bush. Not an easily found location for anybody, frankly, and that is one of the challenges that we have dealt with over a vast area over the last 4 years.
You said police will hold anyone who was helping Phillips evade police accountable, but how are you going to do that? What type of laws do you have in place that you can even...
Well, there's a lot. The investigation will continue for a number of months. We are interested in how Mr. Phillips was able to access multiple firearms, how he came to be in possession of quad bikes. We are aware of, obviously, the burglary that occurred yesterday morning, and we've shared publicly other burglaries that we believe he's been involved in. We're not sure at this point who else may be involved in some of these, so there's a lot of work to do over the next few months that will help us determine whether or not, in fact, there is anybody else that's been involved.
Someone I spoke to today even went as far as to say that he believed Phillips was still working for people, not in obviously a formal contract sense, but doing fencing work. Has there been any evidence of that?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Do you think he received less work as the search went on? He received less help as the search went on, that's why he committed the burglaries and so on?
Well, I don't want to assume anything at this stage, to be honest. I mean, look, we're talking about a 4-year period. I know that the staff that have been involved in this have put their heart and soul into it. We've asked questions of ourselves frequently. What more can we do? We've engaged with international law enforcement. We've engaged with other providers of capability that may be able to assist us. We have done everything possible to ensure that this situation was brought to a conclusion as early as possible, but we faced a lot of challenges.
Can you tell us anything else about the team that found the children? Who were they? Were they officers? What did they have?
Yes, yeah. Look, I have remarkable staff who are very highly trained in dealing with all sorts of situations, in particular dealing with the need to negotiate, potentially if weapons are involved, and that's exactly what occurred yesterday afternoon. So we had to be very cautious. The staff that we deployed to deal with that and recover safely young children are trained in what they do, and I have spoken with them this morning. Obviously they're very, very pleased that there was no harm caused to those young people, and I put that down to their very, very good skill base. Sorry, say again? I can't comment on that.
Are the children together?
You said that Oranga Tamariki has had a plan in place and you expected this to happen. Is that a plan that you've put together without the mother?
Look, 4 years we've been able to plan this. I can't go into specific detail as to who was involved in the plan, because it's certainly prior to my time in the role, but there is a plan and we'll carry that out.
We spent the morning with the mum and she's had no contact with her children.
Yep.
I think every mother in New Zealand will be asking, when is this mother going to see her kids?
So look, understand that we are bound by some conditions of the family court. So we're taking directions from them around that. We will work through this though, and it will take time.
This is an extraordinary situation. Surely you can arrange some kind of contact or supervision for a mother who hasn't seen her kids for nearly 4 years.
Yeah. Look, we won't get into comments about this. I won't get into, but we will.
If they don't have anything in family court, can they see their siblings?
I'm not prepared to go there at the moment. I'll offer no comment
Can
on
I
that.
ask a question
Yes.
from yourself as well? With a potential documentary in the pipeline, which, Mark, you mentioned that you're aware that Julie Christie is behind the documentary, a well-known producer in this country. What will the privacy restrictions be for the children around that? Because from what I'm aware of, they're swooping in quite quickly, and we don't know behind the scenes how quickly or what kind of deals are being brokered.
Look, I can't comment on any of that at this stage.
How
I don't want to speculate.
From documentaries that people offshore or within our own country are potentially going to be.
And we will look after the children. And we will look after the children.
Is it about the whole whānau oranga tamariki? That's what it means.
Yep.
You talk about centering the child at in the middle of the whānau. Is that the whole whānau?
We have some tamariki to look after, and we will do that. And in the wider plan, we will carry that out in time.
I've got one last question in relation to the mother. Just why were media tipped off before the mother was? Because
I can't answer that. No comment.
Still an answer that should be given, because the mother should have been called at 3 o'clock.
When did you reach out to her? When did Oranga Tamariki?
No, I can't comment on that, mihingarangi.
E kore e koe mō te taha tinana e whānaki e nei o ngā tamariki. E pewhi ana tā rātou taha wairua hei whakarite mā koutou
He pai.
o ngā tamariki.
He pai ngā tamariki I te rāpō. E ai ki oku kaimahi, e kua tau ngā tamariki. Kua tau. So they're settled, and that's all I'll say around the kids. They are settled, they're comfortable. They are together.
So are they with the Phillips family too?
They are together. We have the kids in care, in our care.
You mentioned extended family earlier. What side of the extended family is that family on?
Sorry, the question again?
You mentioned extended family are involved with the kids currently, or involved with...
I didn't mention extended family.
Sorry, I think...
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, look, can I just say that the priority right at the moment, These children, I take the point, have been away from their family, from their mum, for 4 years. And right now, the priority of Oranga Tamariki, and of course they're also under the direction of the court, is quite simply to make sure that those children now are looked after, and that there's a careful plan with everyone becoming involved at the right time in terms of making sure that they're put on a really strong and healthy pathway to recovery, because they have seen and been exposed to things that children in our country should not be, and it's very complicated and it's very complex, and it has been for quite some time. There's things here that that Warwick has already stated that we cannot legally talk about, but I just want to give everyone a sense that everyone is focused and caring for those children, and that has been the approach that has been taken from day one when they first disappeared into the bush with their father.
What kind of resources being directed to find potentially other campsites or other places that they were frequenting?
As I've said, there's a long way to go in this investigation. We have a significant number of interviews to do. Obviously, some of those involve young people. So that may take time, and we know that the family has been operating in a vast region of challenges terrain. It may take some time to identify other locations, but
Is there a timeline for the investigation?
no, there's never a timeline for the investigation. No, we'll do a thorough job, we'll do our absolute best, we always have, and that'll continue.
Before yesterday morning, did you have any inkling at all that this particular campsite existed?
No, over the last 4 years we have covered this terrain, this region, a lot. It's highly likely that we've been very, very close, in fact, if not right there, and as part of that investigation over time. But as I've mentioned, the family's moved frequently. That's been one of the challenges that we've encountered. So, having been there myself and been out into Marakupa and the region around that some years ago to see for myself when this first began 4 years ago, it certainly made me appreciate the challenges that my colleagues have faced ever since.
Do we know how long exactly they were here at this campsite?
No, not at this stage, sorry, no.
Did you have any other indication that there might have been other vehicles that were used in Phillips' journey yesterday? Because it's quite a long distance for a quad bike to travel from the campsite to Piopio. So was there any indication that he might have had assistance or utilised other vehicles to get from A to B?
Not aware of that at this point, but we do know that he's been using quad bikes, obviously, as we've discovered more than once. So our investigation will help determine what other modes of transport he may have used or others may have helped with. That'll be part of our investigation.
We also talked a lot about ammo that was found on the site, but just wondered if you have any more detail around things like food, clothing, tent sites, any kind of other detail that might just describe what this campsite looked like?
Not at this stage, no. All we can share with you at this point is what you see, but I know that over the coming days that we will get a better understanding of what's in this particular site and what we may expect to find in other locations
Are you
as
currently in
well.
discussions with local iwi as well, Commissioner, just in terms of that seems like an awful lot in terms of them residing there. Are you just in discussions with them in terms of how they're going to clear away and, of course, recover from this particular situation that happened in that area?
Sorry, who recover?
In terms of working alongside iwi partners and that they also take care of that.
Look, that'll be a consideration of my team. Obviously, me personally, no, I haven't made those connections at this point. We're focused so early on in this investigation on other things, but I have no doubt that that'll be form part of the way forward in terms of what we need to do with iwi.
Some people are still saying that Tom Phillips is a hero, even today. Can you tell the public why he is not a hero?
I can tell you he is no hero. No one who does this to children, no one who unleashes high-powered rifles on my staff is a hero. Simple as that.
There's been an outpouring of community support for the officer involved. Does the family have any statement that they want to make available to the public?
Sorry,
the family of the officer that was injured.
Look, you can imagine at this point in time the family are going through some very mixed emotions. Very happy, of course, that their son, husband, brother-in-law is still here with us. We saw those, the Minister and I saw those emotions today. They're relieved, but they're also angry because our colleague was just going about his job and doing it in the wonderful way that he always does. And to encounter an individual who was motivated to take his life is not acceptable. So there's anger there too.
So
And we'll wrap support around the family as well.
I think they are seeking privacy at the moment as well.
So you'll be relying on information from the children for much of this investigation going forward. How do you go about speaking to them? And is there a buffer for when you do that, or are you doing that right now, or do you wait till they're settled?
For the family of
Speaking to the children.
Oh, look, we have staff who are very, very experienced in interviewing young people, so we will give them the time that they need to settle. As you've heard Warwick say, the number one priority for those children is their well-being, their safety. We will give them the privilege of that time, but there will come a time where we need to talk to them, and I have specialist staff very, very good at what they do in interviewing young children. That's part of the process. That will be part of helping put this big puzzle together, but it'll take some time for sure.
And can you just confirm, just for those that are watching, exactly how many children were found?
I've already said, I've answered that question.
But just for those that are watching.
I have already said that we are very, very grateful that the children that we have recovered are safe and well, and that's always been our priority from 4 years ago.
The IPCA report is one separate thing. Is there going to be like an informal or semi-formal police investigation into how the whole thing went about, what went wrong, what went right? Is there going to be some sort of measure that you're going to be reporting?
Yeah, look, it's standard practice in events of significance in policing that we debrief. We will do that with this experience as well. We're always looking for ways to be better at what we do. You know, I mean, from what I've observed over 4 years, and particularly since I've been the Commissioner of Police, I'm incredibly proud of the hard work that goes into all policing in the country, but this event is no exception. But we'll always ask the question of ourselves, what more, what else could we do? That's normal practice. And that is why New Zealand Police is among the best police jurisdictions in the world.
And will we see your report, or will that be?
Oh, look, in time, absolutely. You know, we've got a lot of priorities at the moment, but in time, of course, we are never shy about sharing information in terms of, you know, what it is that we could do differently, better. But look, I look at this whole experience over the last 4 years, and I'm very, very proud of the work that's gone into dealing with this. And it's been very, very tough on a lot of my staff, but they've done a remarkable job.
I imagine there'll be a heavy police presence around Tom Phillips' funeral. Does there have to be an investigation before that body can be released? What's going to happen?
No, we'll follow standard practices under the coronial investigation that we have in place. You know, this situation won't be any different in that respect.
If the officer isn't able to talk a whole lot and Tom Phillips is obviously dead, who told you it played out the way it did, or is it just piecing things together? It's piecing together,
obviously. You know, part of the investigation is talking to people, but you know, what we find in the scenes is also important, and you know, there's a long way to go. It's a puzzle. We've got to put that puzzle together as best as we possibly can with the information that's available to us, and that's going to take a wee bit of time. But thank you very much for being here with us this afternoon. Thanks for your support.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for your time, everyone.
Yeah.
Okay, we got anyone from Waikato trying to stuff here? Ooh, just you?